Hi, this is Nick from Nick's Handmade Crochet, and I'm just going to uh, show you how I'm starting a project. I'm making some children's size hexagon cardigans, and the beauty of crochet is you only need a few items. You need your yarn, your crochet hook, the appropriate size, some scissors, and a darning needle, and of course, patience and determination to get going when you're just new to crocheting. So you might have heard or seen on a pattern or someone discussing crocheting and talking about a magic ring, magic circle, and there's a few ways of doing that. And the reason you would use that is for something that would be in the round. So it took me ages to figure out what the hell I was doing and how you'd actually do this magic circle, because I saw people doing things and crossing over and doing things with their fingers, and it just seemed really hard. And yet here today I can do it with hardly even looking. But what I found was I realized that when I was making just a chain, a slip stitch, stitch like that, in fact, if I didn't pull it hard into that knot to start my chain, it actually is a magic circle. So I just, it was a light bulb moment, and here we are. So I'm going in to make my slip knot, and instead of pulling tight, I'm bringing my working yarn up. Sorry, it's sticking, it's a bit fuzzy, it's got some wool in it. And there's that circle which you would otherwise pull tight, and instead of that, you grab that piece of yarn from both sides and you secure the circle with the stitch on your hook, and there it is, and you can get going. So the pattern I'm doing requires double crochets to make a granny stitch, granny cluster, a double crochet cluster. These are all the names that you might have heard relating to a granny stitch. So I'm going to chain up 3, and that's my first double crochet. It counts as a stitch, and you'll hear that often if you're looking at videos. This counts as a stitch. So I'm going to make 2 more double crochets. So that's my first one. Grab my yarn, go into that circle, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and I'm going to hold the yarn there and pull through 2. So now I have 2 stitches in this little ring, which is my magic ring. You can see this bit of yarn that goes through the circle and ends up, and that's going to be a tail, and we're going to pull that tight once we've finished the number of stitches we need. So yarn over into the circle, I'm going to pull through 2, grab that to hold it and pull through 2. Now with this pattern, I need to chain 2 and then make 3 more double crochets, and that's known as the double crochet cluster of 3, or once you see all these in a row, it'll be your granny stitch. Yarn over, and I'm going into the circle again, pulling up my loop. Now it is a bit tricky because you're using your hand with your hook. The other hand has to manage your yarn, pulling it off your ball, and also maintaining this circle and maintaining your stitches. So it does take time and practice. You yarn over, go through in again. It's my second double crochet. Yarn over into that space, pull through two and pull through two. So now I have 3 stitches here. Remember, I've chained up 3, that will be 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3 stitch, 2 chains, 1, 2, 3, 2 chains, 1, 2, then another double crochet into that loop. I'm holding the loop here just for some leverage, pull through 2, bring my fingers up here to grab, and I'm going to finish off that double crochet. So you'll find a way, your own way of holding things, but you really just got to grab everything for some security. And it is just practice. Chain 2. So as these stitches, they look really weird along that piece of yarn there, I'm going to pull this a little bit tight, and it starts to close that up, and it gives me some more room to work into that hole without all those stitches being in a long way and being loose. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up my loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I am pulling my yarn from the center of this ball, which is much easier than having it come from the outside. I'm just pulling up a bit more. So I've got a bit of length, so not too much tension. So I've got this nice loose piece of yarn. And you'll see a lot of people putting that over their finger to control it in a certain manner. So 1, 2, 3, that's 1 cluster. Chain 2, 1, 2, 3, that's a second cluster. 1, 2, 3, third cluster. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and this little bit of yarn that's poking through the bottom of the circle in the hole here, pull that tight. So for the cardigan I'm going to make, it calls for 6 clusters of these, but just for example I'm going to show 4. Now to join this, to make it into the shape that we need, you can pull that tight, and I've got my chain 2, and there's 1, 2, and it's really tricky to see that third stitch that you did initially. 1, 2, 3. So it is a lot of practice to get your hook in to there, but a lot of people just go into the top of that stitch here. Do that again. 1, 2, 3, and it's a really small V, it's hard to see. I'm going to go into that stitch. Oops, yeah, I still have little accidents and lose my yarn off my hook, but that's the beauty of crochet, because you can just pop it back on. 1, 2, 3, through the V there, grab it and pull through. So 1, no, not going to see that. Probably not the best colour yarn to do a demo, but I'm new at all of this and it's going to be a bit rough and ready. So 1, 2, chain 2 space there, there's another little chain 2 space there. So there's lots of ways to then continue to do the next row, and one of them is just to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn the work over. So this is going to be your wrong side, the one with the tail coming out, and that's going to be your right side. So you'll often hear right side and a wrong side to your work, and the stitches do look a bit different either side, and especially when you finish your project. If you're doing a blanket, it doesn't matter so much. So I pull that tight and that closes up, but I leave this here. I don't sew it in straight away because I like to have that as a reference point, so I know exactly that this is always the front and that's the back. So I've chained up 3 and I'm turning, and where we did that last chain 2 before I joined to this beginning chain that we did, that's called a space. So with granny stitches or a double crochet cluster, you don't have to worry about going into the stitches when you're going around. We're going to go into the space, so it makes life a lot easier. So that's my first stitch of the row, and I'm going to yarn over, go through that hole, pull my yarn through and finish my double crochet, and I can just move that stitch over, pull it over a little bit, yarn over, and I'm going to go in again. So that's 1, 2, 3. Now to increase the number of stitches every round, we need to do another cluster to make corners. So we're going to add stitches now to make corners. So quite often you'll have your stitches, and to make a corner then we're going to chain 2, and not all patterns have a chain 2, they might have a chain 1 or a chain 3. So for this example, chain 2, yarn over, we're going to go back into the same space, 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to pull some more yarn, excuse me, over here, a bit wobbly. So now we have 2 more clusters, so there's 3 stitches and 3 stitches, and we need to do another corner. So again, we can either chain 1 to give us a bit of extra length before we go into the next corner, or if you're just starting, you don't want to worry about too many stitches, so we're just going to yarn over and we're going to go into that space and do a double crochet. Then we're going to yarn over again and do another double crochet, yarn over, go into the hole, pull up a loop, bring through 2, bring through 2. Now our directional is all this way now, so we want to make the other side of the corner so that we can continue on this way. So 1, 2, and I make a little bit of room, you can just move your stitch a bit, and we're going to make 3 more double crochets into that hole, into the space. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's a corner here, that will be a corner, and here's another one. Now our direction's going to change, we've done this stitch, so we can turn a little bit to the side, and we're going to go into this space. So double crochet 1 into the hole, 1, so pull through 2, yarn over, hook under through the hole, pull up your loop, 3 stitches on your hook, pull through 2, pull through 2, that's 2 stitches, and 1 more. So there, there and there, so that's 2 sides. Chain 2, yarn over, go back into that hole, which is from the chain 2 that we made going in the first round. So we're going into the hole, pull up a loop, 1 double crochet, and this double crochet, I should have mentioned this right at the beginning because I hate it when you find out things in the middle of a tutorial, and I've just done exactly that. This is in US terms. So a double crochet in US terms. So there's UK terminology and US terminology. And it's really important to know which one you're doing. Sometimes it's obvious when you listen to someone or see a written pattern. Other times it's not, and you think, why is my item, why isn't my project not working out, and it's really way bigger than it should be? That's because a double crochet in UK terms is actually just a single crochet in US. So this is a double crochet in UK terms, just that, but we're doing US terms. So we've got 1, 2, 3 quarters, and we're going to finish off by making the last one. Yarn over into the hole, bring up a loop, our first double crochet, yarn over, go in, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, go in the hole, pull up, 3 pieces of yarn, 3 stitches on your hook, bring through 2, bring through 2, 2 stitches, 2 chain stitches, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, bring through, that's number 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, bring through the 2, bring through the 2. So there's 3 double crochet, chain 2, which will be the space for the next round. And here we have the beginning chain 3. So again, this is probably one of the trickiest parts that you'll have, is to find where you're supposed to put your hook. So we have to try and count. So if you see where that's one stitch. So then we've got, if you flick it over, it's easier to see because we turned, and as I said, the front and the back, sometimes it will change the look of the stitch, change the look slightly. So 1, 2, 3, there was that beginning chain 3 that made the double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and here it is, I can see it. And there's the V, and I'm just going to put my hook through. So I've got through the V. There's a tiny little stitch there. So you know that you're not going through that space. There's the V. Pull it through, and this is a slip stitch when you just pull it through and pull through. Right, so now we're going to turn our work back again, and as you can see, it's the beginning of a granny square. Now we're just going to continue growing this. So the first part's probably the trickiest, just to get it to this stage, and then we can continue, and you can just use as much yarn as you like or as little, and just practice. But from this you could make a blanket. So I'm going to put my hook back in here. So it's the other tip too. If you're just stopping for a bit, give yourself some length so you don't lose the stitch. So put my hook back in, pull this back down. Now this time I'm just going to go and grab my hook, and I'm just going to start my chain 3 from this way in the middle of that. 1, 2, 3. Turn my work. I'm going to do 1 more double crochet, 1 more double crochet. So we're working in everything's working in 3 stitches. And that's all you have to remember. As long as you've got 3 stitches in every cluster, then you're doing something right. So this will be alternate each time you go round. From the corner, here's a stitch now. So now we're going to do another corner. So this is actually adding a stitch. We're going to add 1 stitch as we go around. So here's the center, yarn over, we're going to go into the hole, do 3. Just go a bit faster because just to move it along. Chain 2, and it's a corner. We can follow the corner. It starts making this pattern of holes there with 2 coming out of it. So if you see something with 2 stitches coming out of the one hole, that's your corner. So let's make another corner. There's another corner. Now we've got this corner, the first group we started with, 2 groups with a chain 2 space into the chain 2 space from the previous row. So now we've got another corner. And there's this space here. So we're going to put 3 stitches in here. So we have another cluster of 3 double crochets. And then the next one, you can see that there's 2 lots of 3 groups in the one hole, in the one space. And here's our chain 2 space. So that was our corner. So now we're going to make another corner. 1, 2, 3, chain 2. Sorry, pull a bit of yarn. 1, 2, 3. There's another corner. So here we come, there's a space here. Another cluster of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And there's 2 lots of 3 clusters in that one space. So that's a corner. Let's make another corner. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, 3. There's a cluster of 3, and here's an empty space. So we're going to make another cluster of 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we come here and there is another cluster, 2 lots of clusters in the one space. So let's make another corner. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, 3. That's another corner. And here's the first stitch we did. There's 3 stitches there, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and the chain 3. Now this time we can see it a bit better because we're on the right side. 1, 2, 3. Or we can just, if you can't get your hook under the V here, just go through the middle of it. You'll see a lot of that. And depending on the project, and as you learn and get better, you'll be able to negotiate that stitch. It just makes it a bit harder to see where your stitches are in other projects by doing that method, but it works for the granny square, it's fine. So I'm going to make another double crochet by chaining up 3. So again, I just do it this way. You can just go 1, 2, 3, turn and go into that to finish off. But I've just found I like to do it this way by going under here and pulling it up, because it then puts the stitch into the space rather than on top of that one, and I just feel like it centers the stitch a bit more. 1, 2, 3 and turn. Second stitch, third stitch, and now we're working on the back. So that's what you do, and you just keep going. So our next stitch will be into a corner because there's 2 lots of clusters into the 1 hole. Then we'll have a blank space and we'll do another stitch. We'll have a blank space, another stitch. So the previous round we had 1 cluster of stitches, and this time we're going to have 2. 1 in this hole and 1 in that one, and then the corner, and that will grow it. So then the next time we'll have a stitch here and a stitch here, and then we'll have 3 holes. So it just keeps growing. So that's how our work looks like. Can't see it very well there. How's that? All right, maybe I need to use a single colour yarn. So as I said, I'm really new at this and I'm experimenting. So you might see double ups of lots of videos, and some will disappear as I get better and redo them. I hope this was helpful. Thanks. Bye from Nick, Sydney, Australia.